Hey everybody, thanks for joining. We're just going to wait another minute and then we'll get started. Another minute and we'll start. Okay, everyone, I think we're going to get started. Thank you so much for joining us on our Tuesday task force. We know this is the Thanksgiving week, so we knew we'd be may not be as many people on our task force today, but we do appreciate everyone who has joined. And we'll probably have a bit of a short meeting today. The borough president is trying to join us, but she is on an underground tour, so I'm not sure how that's going to work, but she's trying. And so as I said, we'll probably be a little bit quick today, but we do have some terrific guests, and I thank them all for coming. First, we just wanted to see if the folks from the city Vaccine Command Center could give us just sort of a quick update on sort of where we are, how vaccines are going with in the schools and in general, and any sort of words of advice they'd like to give us as we roll into the holidays. Chelsea, thank you so much for always joining us. We always appreciate it. And I know you're really time limited today. So if you wanted to just sort of jump in and give us any updates, that'd be terrific.
Yeah, absolutely. I will start. If I have to hop, my colleague Matt Borden is on, and then Laura will also hop in to give updates, particularly on the school vax front and testing front. Hi, everyone. Good to see you. Happy advanced holidays. I'll start off because, you know, I'm always the bearer of the most fun news. I think it's important for everyone, you know, to really to know. I think folks are aware we are seeing an increase in cases here in New York City. You can see on our website our favorite little box that shows, you know, the trend of increasing or decreasing. Both confirmed and probable cases are unfortunately increasing here in the city. I know folks are seeing similar trends across the country. So this just really drives home the importance ahead of the holidays, in particular, more gathering, moving indoors with the colder weather. Really need everyone to get vaccinated ahead of the holidays. In addition to vaccination, you know, Dr. Long and the mayor recently were just on the presser talking about new testing guidance to basically test before and after you travel and gather. So really, regardless of vaccination status, ensuring that we're still up with testing guidelines. And then we also have tips for a safer holiday season that just went live on our website. I will drop that in the chat. It'll be up there in multiple languages, and we have some social assets too, just to make sure that folks are sharing it. That is ahead of the holidays. Really, the important messaging to drive home right now is safety, and enjoying times with friends and family, but being safe while doing so. And I would say, in terms of vaccination, you know, we're doing quite well still. We're seeing people still getting vaccinated. We, of course, now have an added tool that we did not have last year during the holidays, vaccine, and an added tool even just, you know, more recently, which is boosters. So essentially the message is, if you're 18 or older, if you're 18 years or older, and it's been enough time since your last, you know, vaccine, since you were fully vaccinated with Moderna and Pfizer or J&J, it's 6 months since Moderna and Pfizer, 2 months since J&J, just to be really clear, go ahead, get your booster. You can do so across the city. If you're using the city's apps, it says, you know, if you want to schedule an appointment, third dose or booster, but many places are also taking walk-ins for the booster of your choosing. So that is all on our website. I'll make sure that's dropped in. And then finally, because once again, I work for the health department, The flu shot. I think that this is really back of folks' mind this year because we had such a quiet flu season last year. It is so important. We are seeing flu across the city. So please, 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 please get your flu shots this year and tell your friends and family to do so as well. There is some misinformation out there that you can't get a flu shot and a COVID vaccine. Obviously, consult with your doctor if you are concerned about this, but we also have this language on our website that makes clear that you can, indeed get both. I think that's it. That's my rapid fire update. I'll toss it over to Laura.
Thanks, Chelsea. A couple of things I wanted to bring to the forefront. I know we've been talking a lot about the at-home program on these. So something I actually learned this week is apparently there are a few at-home programs. The one that T2 operates specifically is through MedRight. MedRight has been deploying to schools to help us go through the school pipeline, make sure we can reach every school site. But they are not the only at-home game in town. If you would like to receive Moderna or Johnson & Johnson during a school day, then at home, then those groups are still operational. And so you'll still be able to schedule those. Interestingly, also, the MedRight team is going to be working on Thanksgiving. They work on the weekend. So if you want a Pfizer at home on Thanksgiving, which why not? Get boosted, get your first, second, third shot, whatever you want with Pfizer, with the MedRight team on this coming Thursday, that is an option for you. So I wanted to make sure folks were aware of that. Additionally, we are preparing to go back for second doses to schools. People will be able to receive first doses if they would like to when we are back for second doses. There is no difference between the first and the second dose in terms of the actual sort of amount. So interchangeable for us as far as we're concerned. And for PTAs who are involved in the referral program, this is another chance for you guys to accrue new referrals. I will also say, because we've been getting a lot of inquiries about the referral program, this program is applicable to any city-run site if the person is getting a first dose. It is not specific to the school-based vaccine teams. It's not specific to the community vaccine team that you might be sponsoring with your community partner. So really want to make sure that, if you're referring people to sites, it could be City Field, it could be Brooklyn Army Terminal. It doesn't have to just be sort of the basic, most immediately in your catchment sites. You can still get a referral bonus credit for that. So just want to make sure folks are aware of that. In terms of testing, I'm sure you all saw last week, we announced that we'll be doubling our testing capacity through the mobile program. So if there are places where, you think our mobile program should be, I will say we need hosts. We always need hosts. We're always looking for hosts. The only thing the host really needs to do is have a bathroom available to us. So with that said, happy to talk to anybody about kind of where they think or where they would advise we put testing trucks. Also, we have microsite teams, which are saliva-based testing teams. They require indoors, but they are in a partnership. They are through a partnership with Mount Sinai, and they're very flexible in terms of, kind of having a minimal footprint, and people feel, fairly comfortable with them. The results, it's a PCR system, even though it's saliva-based, and the results come back usually within about 24 hours.
Thanks so much, Laura. If others have questions, please, raise your hand or jump in. I know I had a couple. One is just for the in-home testing, vaccine. Is there a link you could put in the chat that people could use if they're looking for
people can just feel free to call the 877 Vax for NYC number. I think it's like the first or second option is for at-home vaccines. Again, at this point, they are open to everybody. The pediatric at-home vaccines may take a beat to get up and running, just because one, the teams are at schools, and two, because the pediatric supply is really being focused on sort of the sites that we run through the mobile program or through the regular permanent sites. So all of that is to say, again, feel free to call 877 Vax for NYC, and they will be able to set you up.
Okay, it's Vax. What is it? I'm putting 877 VAX
for NYC.
Vax for NYC.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm putting that in the chat so everyone knows it, so you can get your vaccine at home.
That is your one-stop shopping for all things vaccines.
Okay.
Too. If you want to know where the mobile sites are, if you want to know what your closest pharmacy or hospital is, any of that they can help you with.
Okay. And then just quickly, I have a question about the testing. And again, others, please jump in if you have a question. For when recently I got tested at just one of the city MD sites, and if you don't get a rapid test, which they always tell you to get both, or that you should get the PCR regardless, they're having like 3 to 5 days return for tests, which seems like a long time if you're having symptoms or whatever. Are the city sites quicker? You said it's 24 hours for most sites, or?
Absolutely. So the rapid sites, rapid tests in general, that's like 15 to 40 minutes, let's say. And then the PCR tests that we administer either through the brick and mortar sites or through our mobile sites, they're generally in the 24 to 36 hour range.
Okay. And then my one other question about testing is, I've seen a few times now in drugstores, not a lot, but some drugstores actually have a lot of the self-tests that you can pick up. Is there going to be some move on the city's part to get those out to people, to make them available? Are they something the city's pushing?
I would say stay tuned on this. I think honestly, at this point, we feel like we have a very robust testing system and that people can access, if they need rapid or if they need PCR, whatever it is. But I do think, the new availability of the Binax now presents an interesting opportunity to us. I would also say, if folks recall, there was a bit of a shortage a couple of months ago. So it's sort of new that we have such a wide supply of this.
Yeah, I was surprised to see them at some drugstores. And the accuracy of those are the same as those.
Yeah, the Binax now we consider to be a fairly accurate test. I mean, what I'll say about H&H sites is that generally speaking, if you are going to get a rapid test at an H&H site, we automatically give you a PCR just as a sort of fail-safe. Predominantly though, we have not seen a huge error rate with the Binax Now kits.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions for Laura? I know Matt's still on. Borden, any questions about vaccine or testing? Anybody on the call, on the task force? Okay.
Hi, this is Rena White from Assemblyman Taylor's office. I came on a little late, so I'm sorry. You had mentioned the saliva test. What was that in reference to?
So we have a mobile initiative that uses the saliva-based testing. It's the same, ultimately, like the analysis is done the same way. They both use PCR, but basically it's a team that they have to be indoors, but they can deploy out, for instance, Assemblywoman De La Rosa has had these teams in her office for a few weeks, and they are able to deploy out to whatever location, as long as it's indoors, they have bathroom access and basic stuff, and they're able to collect saliva samples and process them.
So what is the contact so that, if our office would like to reserve, and then also the regular?
Yeah, you can just feel free to send me an email.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rena. Anybody else? Any questions for Laura or anyone else? Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Chelsea. Thank you, Matt. And thank you, Laura, very much for all that information. It's really helpful. There's Laura's email in the chat, so you can let her know. It is really important, I think, there's been so much shifting around with sites, because there's vac sites and testing sites, but it is really good to know that you can have a testing site if you can find a location. And I know way back, even before the vaccine, we were trying to help find sites, particularly in Washington Heights. And, there are places that are willing to do it. So anyone on this task force that, thinks there are areas that would be good to have testing, certainly talk to Laura. You can call our office, we can help, but it's a good resource to know about. Anybody else? Okay, thank you so much, Laura. Really appreciate it. As I said, we have a pretty short meeting today, but I am very, very excited about our next guest, who is from the census. We've talked a lot in this task force about New York City's reopening and what that's going to take. And we've spent a lot of time talking about budget and, tourism and all the things that are going to help New York City come back. And there is just a lot of tools that I think we're going to really need in order to figure out what's needed where. And, and so David Craker is a data dissemination and GIS specialist with the US Census Bureau. And there's some just very interesting tools that they have. And David agreed to come on today, to come to the task force to sort of talk about what some of those tools are, possibly how they can be used, or see if anyone has any questions about how to use, because the census is a lot more than just, a number of people. It's a lot of different tools you can use in planning and grant writing, all those things. So David, if you want to just sort of take it away, and thank you so much for coming today.
Sure. I'll go ahead and talk, and I understood that I don't have a lot of time, but can I go ahead and share my screen?
Sure, it's fine. Yeah.
If this works here. Okay. All right, I'll just start here. Share. Okay, there's one, and we are right now in, I think, Zoom. So I think this might work a little bit better. Let me go over here. Can you see this? It says NYC Population Fact Finder.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm not sure if people know that exists. I'm just going to show you a few things. So if you didn't know, at the Census Bureau, you know that we do that 10-year census every 10 years, right? A decennial, we call that. But we actually do something every month of every year that we call the American Community Survey. And in that survey, we actually ask deep questions about whether people have disabilities, do they live with their grandparent, do they live with their grandchildren, grandparents, what ethnicity they are, that sort of thing. And that information is released every year. And so a lot of people, when they go looking for data from the decennial census, what they really want is information that comes from the ACS, American Community Survey. So I just want you to know that those two things are out there. And so this is actually not our website right here that I'm showing you, but I think it is the quickest, easiest thing if you're looking at New York City. So this is actually called NYC Population Fact Finder. Have you already used this, or do you know about this?
I think probably some people have and some haven't. I think it's
Okay.
Yeah.
So just so you know, you can actually zoom in to an area, and it will, census tracts are like sub-neighborhood areas, and you can click on one if you want to. I'm going to turn my video off just to preserve some bandwidth here. Okay, so you can actually come here and click on a census tract if you want to, or you can select two census tracts and it will aggregate it for you. And when you come over here to the left and you say view the data, they are pulling from our data and they're trying to make it a little bit more, can I say, digestible for you. And so the first thing you're going to get are the 2020 numbers for that census tract. And I believe you can actually go in here and get it by block if you wanted to, but you can certainly come through and see what the total population is in that area, people who live in households or in group quarters. I don't know if you know what a group quarter is. That's like a nursing home or a college dormitory. If you're, trying to combat COVID, that might be interesting to you. And it gives you a percentage of the people in that area that live in group quarters, and then the age, and then the racial breakout, and then housing occupancy. So this is from the 2020 census. But if you wanted to come over here to data source, you can change that right here, and you come down here to American Community Survey 2015 to 2019. So that means that we actually grab that data over 4 years, and after the fourth year, we release it to the public as an average. So you have to sort of go further on down past the 2020 information, and then you start getting these breakouts here. And sometimes you will get information by the tract, and sometimes you won't. Sometimes it is suppressed. Let me just clear that right here, and I will get rid of all topics. And then I'm just going to come back here and say economic, for example, and let's see what we get. So here are the economic variables that we have by census tract. So you do get information: who's in the workforce, are they unemployed, are children there, that sort of thing, commuting to work, how they commute to work, that sort of thing. So you can go through here and look at this and see that, a little bit of information that is by census tract. I would tell you, if you wanted to go back to this, oh, by the way, they always give you New York City over on the right, so you can do a comparison. But if I went backwards, go back to the map, let me see if that works. A little bit slow. You can click up here on the logo. Okay, and there's the map right there. You just click on there and it opens it back up for you. So there is something else called a community district, or really it's based on what we call a public use microdata area. So it's up here right there. And if you click on that information, and go searching for something like that and click on it. And when you go to view the data, whatever the data is, usually, especially the ACS, you will get more data. Okay, it's a bigger subset and you can get more information about that area. Right now, it's just giving us the 2020 data to start with. But once again, you can come up here and you can sort of unselect all the topics, and then you can, you can reselect something down here if you wanted to. Whatever you want to select, and you can get more information and download that. So that is a New York City website if you wanted to look at that. And I thought, we have another one I won't go into today because it's a pretty long training, but it is called data.census.gov, and you can really get into the information and download things. So that's usually at least a 45-minute presentation. This one I just want to show you. It is called On the Map, so you could go looking for something called Google Census Bureau and then On the Map, right? And what you can do here, this is Maplewood, New Jersey. I live out near here, and you come in here and you can analyze an area and you can perform an analysis if you wanted to on that area. And it will tell you about the people who work there. And so I sort of calibrated it here in the middle by distance and direction. Over here on the right, it sort of tells you that. But if you just wanted to get about that area, you come here. It's pretty easy. And let me say, I'll say go. And then it's really going to just give me a reading on that one zip code tabulation area. So this you can do by zip code, and it's all about the workers in that area. And so if you look over here on the right, you can see the total of all the jobs, what people are making in that area, what sort of professions they're in, that sort of thing. So you can certainly do that if you wanted to. Always come back to this sort of red kite thing in the middle there. You say to perform the analysis. And then once again, you can do this. You can say distance, direction. You can choose your year, and you can hit, notice home. So it's turning, these are where people live, right? And I hit go. And then what it's going to do is actually show me where people who live in that zip code, where they work. And so it does take a while to come up, and sometimes it fails me, I will tell you, but it comes up with this sort of map. I'm going to turn something off over here, just point overlay, and then this sort of a heat map. And so it's letting us know where people who reside in this zip code, the other zip codes in the area where they are working. So you can see so many of them work in Manhattan or in Newark, like that. And you can certainly come over here to the left and start your selection. Over here on the left, it's at very left. It says start, and you can clear something right there, right up here. And we can say, for example, 10005. I used to work in that zip code. And I say, there it is right there. Okay, so it's down there, South Street Seaport, and it gives me a map straight away. I think I may have already had selected distance, but let's see what's on there. Yeah, so it's letting, let me just say perform analysis right there. So people who live there, but if we want to know the people who work there, where they're coming from, you just click on work, make sure it says distance and direction, and you say go. And it takes a little while to populate. It's letting you know up here at the upper right, the directions that people are coming from primarily to work there. But as you can see, and I like to turn off, over here on the left, it says point overlay. I turn that off, and I get a better feeling for where people are traveling to work in that one zip code from around the region. So I don't know. I just thought that might be of interest to you if you are trying to, stop the spread of COVID a little bit. At least you kind of can get an idea where people are coming from. And notice it's over here less than 10 miles, that sort of thing. But anyway, this is just something you can do. Once again, you can click on that little red symbol there, perform an analysis. You can change it. You just say, give me an area profile. It's a really quick thing that you can do. So what you would do to get here, just to reiterate, is it would be Census Bureau, and it's called On the Map. And up here at the left, start, and you'd put in your zip code, you'd select it, and then it puts this red thing here in the middle, and you can click on it and do different things. So over here is the analysis on the right. it gives you different kind of information about people who work there, okay, and the ethnicity and that sort of thing. But once again, you can come in here, you can create a map if you want to, and you can kind of see where people are. If you're choosing work, right here, perform analysis, this is where they're working, and then where are they coming from? Or if they live there, if that's their home, where are they going to? And so you can kind of get that distance and direction if you wanted to do that. So those are the only two things I had I thought might be of use in a short amount of time today. So one is on the map, and the other was the New York City population fact finder. And I mean, I have another thing up my sleeve if you wanted more information, if you wanted one other thing, but I'm not sure how much.
We don't have a lot of time, but what's one other thing that's up your sleeve? Because I think.
Okay, one other thing. Okay, it's right here in the URL or the find. I mean, Google Chrome, ACS Narrative Profile. You can do this by zip code. You come here, ACS Narrative Profile, and you come down here and you say, okay, I want it by zip code. If you want to go that route, or census tract, you come down here by state and you say New York. There it is right there. And I'm going to find the one that I used to work in, 1005. There it is. And I say, get the narrative profile. And it takes about 20 seconds. And it comes up with all sorts of information for you. Let me make sure it's coming. Uh-oh, what's going on here? It should be churning, and it would give me like a written profile of the area. Let me just make sure that that's working. Uh-oh, something happened there. Sorry about that. Something didn't work. Let me just do that again. Get narrative profile. Okay, there it goes. There we go. Can you see that churning down there, the loading?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So this is just another nice way you can get information. If you don't want to look at maps, you can go by zip code area, and then you can come down here and get all this information. And it's all from American Community Survey. So you can open these if you want to. And this is non-copyrighted if you wanted to copy and paste or print it out or whatever, where people are from, the language they speak there, were they there a year ago, educational attainment. And this is data over the past 5 years. So it's not just the last year. A little bit of information about all sorts of topics if you needed this, the occupations people are in. This is about people who live in that zip code, not about people who work in that zip code. So commuting to work, how do they go to work? 62% are going by public transportation. The income of the people who live there. So all sorts of information that you can go through. I'm only, not even down to the bottom. A little bit about the health insurance and the population. Let's see if that's coming up. This is kind of slow. It's on my end, actually. I have bad internet today. And you can continue going down. Race, housing, inventory characteristics, if you wanted that. Occupied housing characteristics, financial characteristics, computer and internet. Do they have it? Types of internet subscription. So all that information is here, and that is called the ACS Narrative Profile. And you can come to this website and you can put it in by zip code or census tract if you wanted to, and you can get information. So if you wanted to figure out what the census tract is, use that first website I showed you, the NYC Population Fact Finder, and that will help you find an area if you wanted to look at that. So any questions?
Anybody have any questions? I just want to, first of all, thank you so much, David. We wanted to just have, we thank David for coming and presenting these tools, because as we move forward and, our offices are applying for grants, we're helping our constituents, organizations, arts groups, whatever, apply for grants. Obviously, this is really key information to be able to use in any grants. And the other thing that, I thought was interesting when I was talking to David was the commuting piece about people coming into the area, because in Manhattan, as we know, we have a population of 1.6 million, but many people say that, not during pandemic, but before that, the population of Manhattan practically doubled or did double as people commute every day into Manhattan. So it's always interesting when people use population formulas for Manhattan versus Brooklyn versus the Bronx, because Manhattan's is less than, say Brooklyn and Queens, but it doubles, as I said, when people commute. So that's the kind of thing that you can look at by census tract, by area, to see who's actually coming into the neighborhoods each day, who works there. So, we just thought that was interesting. The other thing I'll say is that, David did do a workshop for us for our leadership series. And I don't know, David, is there, because I know some people on this call may be interested in that. Do you have an email or a way to contact you if folks are interested in that?
Yeah, I do.
You can put that in the chat maybe, or?
Yeah, let me do that right now. Yeah, I will do that.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. Are there other questions for David about any of these tools? I know that for us in the city, we go on the city planning site a lot, and it's a terrific site, but those are some really interesting tools, I think, that you can get right directly from the census site and the American Planning sites. So I just, again, moving forward, trying to figure out a way forward for New York City. This is just incredibly useful information to have and to be able to use. So that was why we wanted to do it today. And thank you, David. That's how you reach David Quaker. Does anyone else have any questions or thoughts about census tools using this information? Anyone on the call? Anyone on the task force? Okay.
Okay, I'll stick around for about 5 minutes in case there's a question, and then I'll leave. Okay.
We're probably going to end because we are having a short meeting on this Thanksgiving week. But again, thank you so much, David, for coming on, for showing us those tools and giving us your contact information, because that's really, really helpful.
Yeah.
So if anybody else has any questions or thoughts or anything you'd like to report on as we move towards Thanksgiving? Going once, going twice. I don't see any hands. Jump in if you'd like. Otherwise, I would like to thank you again for joining us on Tuesdays at 3 o'clock. We'll, of course, be back next week. But I really do appreciate everyone coming. I hope you find these. I'm sorry, Frida, everyone, please post whose contact information. Frida, David's is david.j.kraker, Kraiker, at census.gov. So I hope everyone got that. Okay, terrific. Elka put it in again. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your Thanksgiving, and we will see you again next Tuesday at 3 o'clock. Thanks a lot.